Hello Year 10 and welcome to today's lesson on acids and metals. I want you to write down the date, title and LO and I want you to do the starter task please. So pause the video here and I'll continue in 5 seconds. Okay, number 1, how would you separate a mixture of alcohol and water? So these are two liquids together, so you couldn't use a sieve or anything like that. One of the options you might have chosen is evaporation, which is a valid point. But if we wanted to keep the water and keep the alcohol in liquid forms, then we would use a process called distillation. Now, you should have done this in year 9. So distillation is when you have two liquids with differing boiling points and you heat them up, and then one of them will evaporate and go into a Liebig condenser, which has cold water running around it, which makes the gas turn back into a liquid. It condenses it, and then that goes down the tube and into another container. Okay, so you should remember that from year 9. If not, I want you to look back and look that up, please. Okay, so distillation is the answer to that one. Number 2, if a substance makes a universal indicator turn red, is it acidic, alkaline, or neutral? Okay, so that would be acidic. If it is reddy, orangey, yellowy, it's acidic. If it's green, it's neutral, and if it's purpley blue, it's alkaline. Number 3, what number represents neutral on the pH scale? It is 7. Okay, so now we're going to talk about metals reacting with acids. Okay, so a metal reacts with an acid to produce salt and hydrogen. So I want you to write that down, please. And it might be easier if you do it in the colours that I have got on the screen. So write acid in red, salt in blue, and hydrogen in green. Or you can use any colour you want, just as long as you keep it consistent. Okay, so metals react with an acid to produce salt and hydrogen. So you can see here, I've got an equation. The metal is just written in yellow. So here we have metal in bold that's yellow. So that's the metal there, zinc. And then we've got the acid, so that's red. So this is just showing you, to make it easier, which one's the metal and which one's the acid. Okay, and I'm going to go through the first one as an example. So metals react with an acid to produce a salt and hydrogen. So zinc reacts with hydrogen chloride to produce zinc chloride plus hydrogen. So it's got rid of that hydrogen and the zinc and the chlorine go together to make zinc chloride. Okay, so that is the salt there, and the green is hydrogen. So all you need to do is take away the hydrogen and put the metal and the acid together and put the hydrogen on the end. Okay, so it produces a salt plus hydrogen. Now I want you to try, excuse me, I want you to try the other two, please. So I want you to write out just the word equation. You don't need to do the symbol equation. So write out the general word equation for the reaction between a metal and an acid. So complete the ones above, please. And as an extension, you can try and write balanced symbol equations for each reaction. But what I want you to concentrate on is just doing the word equation, please. So pause the video here and I'll reveal the answers in 5 seconds. Okay, so next we have got zinc nitrate plus hydrogen. And for number 3, we've got zinc sulfate plus hydrogen. Okay, so it will always produce a salt and hydrogen. Okay, so usually here we would be doing an experiment, but unfortunately we can't because we're all at home. So I'm just going to kind of talk you through it. So I want you to copy the diagram below, please, with the labels. So when you are copying diagrams, you need to do it with a pencil and a ruler, please. Okay, so this is a technical method for collecting the gas given off from a reaction between a metal and an acid. Remember, that gas that is given off is hydrogen. It allows us to measure the volume of gas being given off with known volumes of acid and masses of the metal. When we do this reaction in class, we use more straightforward equipment, which I will reveal on the next slide. But once you've copied this diagram, I want you to suggest equipment that we have at school that is needed to measure the volumes of acid and the produced gas. Okay, so it's probably a lot simpler than you think. Okay, so this is what we do at school. We have a conical flask with a bung at the top, and then we have a recovery tube. As the gas is produced, it will go up through this recovery tube and into a measuring cylinder. So that measuring cylinder is full of water, and as the gas goes in, it pushes the water down, and we can measure how much gas is produced. Okay, so it's all said here in the method. So set up equipment as shown in the diagram, measure an acid and put it into the conical flask, add the metal to the acid and measure the gas produced. So from this here, I want you to do the following questions and tasks, please. So I want you to draw the diagram. So this diagram here. So you've already drawn the one from the previous page, but I want you to draw the simpler one and say that this is what we'd be using in school. I want you to rewrite the method, making it more reproducible. So these 4 steps here, they need to be more specific. Okay, so you will need to say how much acid you put into the conical flask and how you measure it. So measure it in a measuring cylinder and then pour it into the conical flask. Add however many grams of metal into the acid. Measure the gas produced with a measuring cylinder. Okay, so do it step by step and be really precise about how exactly you do this experiment, so that if an alien appeared and knew nothing about science, it would be able to reproduce this experiment. Okay, and then the last one, I want you to state what the independent, dependent, and control variables are, please. So for those of you who don't remember independent, dependent, and control variables, I would usually sing a song which I will have to do now recorded. So I know I'm not the best singer, okay, but it's the best way for you to remember what independent, dependent, and control variables are. So I apologize in advance, but I am about to sing to you guys. So independent variables are the ones you change. Independent variables are the ones you change. Dependent ones you measure, get it wrong, you feel displeasure. Independent variables are the ones you change. Control variables always stay the same. Control variables always stay the same, so that we can compare, and the test we do is fair. Control variables always stay the same. Okay, so that's the end of it. I do also apologise because I have a sore throat, so that was even worse than usual. But that will really help you remember which one's independent, which one's dependent, and which one's control. Okay? Independent's the one you change, dependent's the one that you measure, control variables always stay the same for a fair test. Okay, so I want you to do everything that is on the screen, please. And here is a materials list. So what the experiment is we're seeing how much hydrogen is produced from 4 different acids with zinc. Okay, so we've got hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, and nitric acid. We're going to add zinc to them, and then we are going to see whether one produces more hydrogen than the other. So pause the video here and do everything that's on the screen, please. Right, the effect of 3 different acids on the production of hydrogen gas. So that is the title of the experiment. Here, I've done a results table for you, okay? Because obviously usually we'd be doing this in a lesson, but we can't. So here are the results. What I want you to do is I want you to calculate the mean. So ignore any anomalous results. So an anomalous result is something that doesn't fit the pattern of the rest of the results. I want you to draw a sketch graph of the data, and I want you to give a conclusion to this experiment. And then for your submission of work today, I want you to take a picture of your conclusion for me, please. Okay, you can take a picture of the whole experiment part actually, but the conclusion is the main bit, so make sure you've got the conclusion there, please. Okay, so remember, I will be available for any questions on Zoom for the last 15 minutes of the lesson, or you can message me on Show My Homework. Okay, I hope you all have a wonderful day.